All right, so just picking up part two of the Noach Parsha, and just kind of picking up where we left off. Um, yeah, just kind of picking up where we left off. So, in this part of the lesson, we'll see a pattern of salvation in Noah. So we'll get a glimpse of what things will be like in the end. The days of Noah serve as a snapshot of what to expect in the day of Yahuwah. So, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the end. So today we'll be looking at cycles and patterns, um, and um, we'll see a connection between the generations of the earth as it was before Noah, and then the generations of Noah. So, in seeing this connection, we'll also see a connection to our generations. All right, so pattern of salvation that's revealed in Noah. So, just some things that we'll be kind of like paying attention to, keeping in the back of our mind as we're going through it. But just keep in mind that favor is given to Noah, and then you'll also see that we obtain favor unto our salvation. We'll see that Noah is righteous and upright, that he walks with Elohim, and then that we are called to do the same thing. We are to learn to be righteous and upright and how to walk with Elohim. Noah has three sons, and the favor he is given is extended to his family. Then we'll see that there's a call for us to teach righteousness to our children so that they too obtain favor. Um, Wickedness and violence fills the earth. In Noah's day, it causes Yahuwah to destroy it and restore it from corruption. But through the favor that is given, Noah is given warning that will save him from the coming destruction if he follows them. And then we'll see that wickedness and violence fills the earth today, causing Yahuwah to destroy it. We know that that's coming, and he's going to have to restore it from corruption. But through the favor that we're given, we'll see that we are also given, warning. He says that he warns his servants. So we'll see that we're also receiving warning that can potentially save us from the coming destruction if we follow it, his what he says. A vessel must be built and covered inside and out so that it can survive the powerful waters that will cleanse the earth. Without this covering, the vessel will be destroyed in the flood like everything else. In order for this vessel to be built, he must follow Elohim's instructions. And then we'll see the same thing works for us, that our vessel, speaking of ourselves, must be built and covered with this atonement, quote unquote, inside and out so that it can stand the powerful waters that will cleanse the earth, the spirit, i.e. immersion. Without this covering, the vessel will be destroyed in the flood like everything else. In order for our vessel to be built, we must follow Elohim's instructions. So you're going to keep seeing these parallels between what happens in the story of Noah and then a lesson for us internally that we can put in place so that when the day of Elohim comes, we can hopefully escape the wrath that is to come. So you see that a covenant is established with Noah. Covenant is established with us. If Noah obeys, through his obedience, all things will be saved, but only a remnant of the whole. And then you see the same thing. If we obey through our obedience, we can be saved, but it's only a remnant of the whole that's going to end up choosing that. Noah is obedient. He does all that Elohim commands him. We are to obey and do all that Elohim has commanded us. Noah is seen as righteous. If we do the same thing, we'll be seen as righteous. And then the rains came upon the earth for 40 days and nights, and that symbolizes purging and purification. And then we see that we too often will enter into a quote unquote wilderness period that symbolizes at later point. It's symbolized at later points by the number 40, and it's a time also of purging and purification. And then we see that Noah received salvation in the day of judgment, meaning he was saved in that day. And then we receive salvation in the day of judgment. So the whole end goal is that we receive eternal rest for our souls, or this nuach, which is what Noah's name means, and everlasting life in the kingdom of Elohim. All right, so like I said, just a kind of a broad bird's eye view or overview of kind of things to pay attention to as we go through breaking the lesson down. All right, so a turn in events. So Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. So it says, and Elohim said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him. Male and female created he them. And Elohim blessed them, and Elohim said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. And Elohim said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, to you it shall be for food. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creeps upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for food. And it was so. And Elohim saw everything that he made, and behold, it was very told. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. So that's Genesis chapter 1. We're going to jump down to Genesis chapter 6, verse 5. All right. We're going to see that there's a difference between the state when he created it and then the state where it is now. So Genesis 6:5, it says, and Yahuwah saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And Yahuwah repented that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And Yahuwah said, I would destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for I repent that I have made them. But Noah found grace or favor in the eyes of Yahuwah. So big difference between the days of Noah and where things were when the Father created them, as told me of. All right, so generations of Noah. So Genesis 6:9, it says, these are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and walked with Elohim. And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth also was corrupt before Elohim, and the earth was filled with violence. And Elohim looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And Elohim said unto Noah, the end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. All right, so notice how Elohim created the earth with order, but this order has been corrupted upon the earth. So this violence, quote unquote, has caused Elohim to destroy the earth and restart with the righteous remnant. Notice how there is a reversal of the creation that took place in Genesis 1, and Elohim reverts the earth back to its state of chaos before he brought order. The only thing that is not destroyed is the uncorrupted remnant that is on the ark. All right, and that's going to pretty much be the backdrop of the whole story with Noah. From this point forward, is pretty much surrounded around that right there. So jumping down to 6:17, it says, and behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under the heaven, and everything that is in it, or everything that is in the earth shall die. So we're going to see how the compassion of Elohim is the only thing that is keeping the earth together. It is the only thing that is keeping this place hinged and operating in a functional fashion. Should the order be removed, you are left with nothing but chaos and darkness. And then as a side note, just notice how this process can work within you. So like we're going to keep seeing how the whole process of the flood on a macro scale is happening on the earth, but then also notice how the same thing on a micro scale can take place within you. So the word for violence, understanding this violence. So the word for violence is Hamas. All right, it's H2555. It's violence by implication wrong, by metonymy, unjust gain, cruelty, damage, false, injustice, oppressor, unrighteous, violence done against, um, violent dealing, and it's just overall wrongdoing, right? Root of the word is H2554, same word, Hamas. And it means to be violent, to by implication, excuse me, to maltreat, to make bare, to shake off, to violate, to do violence, to take away violently, wrong, to imagine wrongfully. All right, so this is the violence that filled the earth, and this is the same thing that corrupted the earth and that caused Elohim to wipe everything out. All right, so this same word for violence we're gonna see in another context in Ezekiel. So Ezekiel 22:23. And if at any point I'm moving too fast, y'all just let me know, or if y'all got something, just chime in. Yeah, otherwise I'm just moving. But yeah. So Ezekiel 22:23. It says, "And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, say to her, you are a land that is not cleansed or rained upon in the day of displeasure." Now keep in mind with this rain, how it's supposed to function. And just keep that in mind when we're looking at it in the context of the flood, because it's something about this flood, what it's supposed to be providing, what it's supposed to be doing to the earth. So Ezekiel 22:25, it says, "There is a conspiracy of her prophets in her midst, like a roaring lion tearing the prey. They have devoured life. They have taken wealth and precious matters. They have made many widows in her midst. Her priests have done violence," that same word for violence is Hamas, "to my teaching, and they profane my set apart matters. They have not distinguished between set apart and profane, nor have they made known the difference between the unclean and the clean. And they have hidden their eyes from my Shabbats, and I am profaned in their midst." So now, as a side note, keep in mind the last time that we looked at it, what do we see? All of those very same things taking place in the earth in the days of Noah that brought the flood, right? They were profaning his name. We saw that in chapter 5, right? At the end of Genesis chapter 5, it said that in the days of Seth, they began to call upon the name of Elohim. But when we looked at that word, we saw that they were starting to profane his name, right? When they called upon it, they were profaning his name. Notice the same thing is happening here in Ezekiel. Violence filled the earth. Notice here in Ezekiel that there's a violence that's done to his teaching and what he says. Same thing back then. There wasn't a difference between what was clean and unclean being made. We read last time about how they were mixing the breeds of the animals, how those that were heavenly left their estate and started to mix with mankind, right? No separation between what is clean and what is unclean. We saw that they were eating and drinking of blood. We saw all of these things going on, and we know also that they had some concept of clean and unclean, because Noah is told to do what? Right. So he knows what is clean and what is unclean, because Elohim tells him, separate the animals, the clean from the unclean. Con. So they know what this is. And we just see that perhaps there's a violation of this taking place in the days of Noah that is gotten so bad and so out of hand that he has to wipe the whole thing out. He says, "And they have hidden their eyes from my Shabbats, and I am profaned in their midst. Her leaders in her midst are like wolves tearing the prey, to shed blood, to destroy lives, and to get greedy gain." Notice the parallel between that and the Nephilim, right? "And her prophets have coated them with whitewash, seeing a false vision, and divining a lie for them, saying, thus said the master Yahuwah when Yahuwah had not spoken. The people of the land have practiced oppression and committed robbery and have wronged the poor and needy. And they oppressed the stranger without right ruling. And I sought for a man among them who would make a wall and stand in the breach before me on behalf of the land, that I should not destroy it, but I did not find one. Therefore I have poured out my displeasure on them. I have consumed them with the fire of my wrath, and I have put their way on their own head, declares the master Yahuwah. So, do we see a pattern in how the Father operates? This is not, the destruction is not something that he desires to bring, but this violence, this Hamas being done is that's what we kind of force his hand, and that's what brings it. So just notice how this violence is something that can be in you. It is a violation or a shaking off of what Elohim established as told and right.
It was just maybe making me think from the definition. No, Ezekiel when he was talking about you are a land not clean, not cleared or rained upon. And so, like you were saying, Yahuwah's mercy during Noah's time was literally this destruction and then cleaning the earth with like the flood, cleaning it with rain, which is interesting because when the time comes on that day that he has, it would be destroyed with fire, and the new earth and the new Shamayim will come down from, um, you know, where he is coming down on the earth. It's interesting because this it literally is like after this, there's no more chances. You know what I mean? That's it.
So like just that right there, notice that. And the earth as a whole is again in the same state. Like notice in verse 24, like you said, you know, you weren't cleansed or rained upon. Now you jump down and he's like, I'm gonna have to pour out the fire of my wrath. Like if the water then you wasn't cleansed by the water, then I guess you're just gonna have to be destroyed with the fire. So it's kind of the same thing. Like I said, just keep in mind that all of this whole process is something that we can identify in us.
Shalom. Can you hear me?
Huh.
All praises. Yeah, that's deep because he flat out says, I rain on the just and the unjust. So it's not a lack of rain. It's the rejection of the rain. Like you won't be cleansed because it's like instead of me realizing, okay, there's something I'm doing that's causing this pain, it's more like, no, I'm gonna keep looking outside. It can't be something that I'm doing.
Man, that's an excellent point. Like excellent point. It's definitely not for a lack of rain. Like you said, I rain on both the just and the unjust. Excellent point. Time. Time. So somewhere in there, it's a refusal to be rained upon.
That part. In one place he says, your habitation is in the midst of deceit, and through deceit you refuse to know me.
Mm. Time. All praises. All praises. All praises. So taking a look at this in the construction of the art, and we not gonna we won't spend a whole lot of time looking at this because this really could be a lesson in itself. But y'all see, just point out a couple things and then just something to pay attention to. And again, you'll see how bringing it home, how this whole process works within us. So Genesis 6:14. So it says, make you an ark of gopher wood, rooms you shall make in the ark, and shall pitch it within and without with pitch. And this is the fashion which you shall make it of. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. A window shall you make to the ark, and a cubit shall you finish it above. And the door of the ark you shall set in the side thereof with lower, second, and third stories you shall make it. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. But with you will I establish my covenant, and you shall come into the ark, and you shall come into the ark, you and your sons and your woman and your sons' women with you. All right, so we see a whole process laid out right there, right? So notice, in order for you to survive through the flood, you got to have this vessel or this ark. But this is not something that you came up with the design for. You got to follow his instructions in order to get it built, right? So keep that in mind. Two, just another thing to kind of parallel, you're going to see that there's something with these three stories, with this lower, second, and third story. And notice at the top of the third story, there's a window that's there, or there's a window. I'll leave it there. There's a window that's there. And it's something about this window that's supposed to, it gives you access back outside of the ark, but I'm not going to, like I said, that's a whole nother lesson in itself. But just notice that there's three levels, and then you just got to ask yourself, well, is there something else that someone received divine instructions to build that had these three chambers or these three levels to it?
Okay.
Right? We see the same thing with the tabernacle and the temple. Right? So it's something about this design, and it's something about what's going on with the ark that, let's just say, it's important. All right. But for now, all we got to do is just pretty much look at what? Receiving these instructions from Elohim, following these instructions, and then in following these instructions, you're going to have a vessel that's going to be built, but you're going to have to do something to the vessel in building it that's going to seal it so that it can endure through whatever these floods are that's supposed to come. And then you're going to see that in all of this, the highlight is verse 18. The destruction is going to come around you, but with you, I'm going to establish my covenant, right? So that's going to be the main takeaway. That's going to be the goal, the silver lining in all of this is having him to establish the covenant with us. All right. So looking at that word for pitch, all right, H3722, kafar, right? So it means to cover, specifically with bitumen, figuratively to expiate or condone, to placate or cancel, to appease, to make an atonement, to cleanse, to disannul, to forgive, be merciful, pacify, pardon, to pitch, to purge away, put off, or to make reconciliation, right? So when he's telling them to pitch this ark, in order for it to make it, you're going to see this word here, and this is the same word, mind you, for the Day of Atonement. So Day of Atonement is Yom Kippur, right? Same root word. This is the same root word. Root of this word H3724, Kofer, which properly a cover that is literally a village as covered in, specifically bitumen as used for coating, and the henna plant as used for dyeing, figuratively a redemption price, a bride, campfire, pitch, ransom, satisfaction, a sum of money, right? These are all what we can get this spiritual meaning of what's going on with this ark, right? So is it possible that it's something that the Father is willing to overlook in Noah and Noah's family that's going to preserve them through the flood, right? I'm going to destroy everything else, but since you got this pitch, on this ark, this tar, this bitumen, this coating on this ark is going to waterproof the ark, and it's going to make it to where you can survive and withstand the flood.
It kind of reminds me of redemption. Set apart Ruach is supposed to be our seal.
We're gonna get into that.
So it's like if we have the seal of Abba Yahuwah, then what did it say? Was it in Daniel? Where it talks about do not destroy the ones, Ezekiel. Do not destroy the ones with the seal, with the mark of Abba Yahuwah. So I kind of look at it as the same similarity.
All praises. That's what we're supposed to do. We should be able to see these parallels and these patterns. All praises. So keep in mind, again, you being able to see this process within you. You got this arc that has these 3 levels in it, or these 3 areas in it. And you're going to also see that you're going to have something that's going to be protecting this ark or this vessel in the flood. And that's what's going to allow you to go through the water, because if you don't tar it and pitch it, if you don't cover this thing with the tar, it's not going to float. The water going to take you out just like it's going to take out everything else, right? Something about this process, you're going to see that it's making an atonement for mankind. It's the Father allowing an atonement for mankind. It's his mercy. He's looking at mankind and saying, hey, this one is righteous in his generation. And even though I'm going to destroy the whole earth, I'm going to have compassion on this one. So just something to keep in mind. Again, how the process works in the 1 John chapter 2, verse 1. It says, my little children, these things write I unto you, that you sin not. And if any man sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Yahushua HaMashiach, the righteous. And he is the propitiation. That word propitiation means atonement for our sins. And not for ours only, but also for the sins of the whole world. And hereby we do know that we know him, if we guard his commandments. He that says, I know him, and guards not his commandments, is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoso guards his word, in him truly is the love of Yahuwah perfected. Hereby know we that we are in him. He that says he abides in him ought himself also so to walk, even as he walked. And now, on a grand scale, again, looking at Noah and seeing how Noah is a pattern of this, you'll see how Noah is what? Because of the righteousness that was in Noah, the whole world was what? The whole earth was spared and allowed to be able to be rebooted. The righteous was spared, the wicked got destroyed, but if it don't be for Noah, the whole everything gets destroyed. Right? So same thing, just to draw in a parallel with how Mashiach basically fulfills this role for us. All right, so the violence or violation of Elohim's established righteousness filled the earth and corrupted it so that it was no longer told. The flood's purpose is to wash and purge or purify the earth of all this violence. Yahuwah will cleanse the earth and reestablish order in it, while also reestablishing his covenant with man by preserving Noah and his family. In this, notice the earth will become a new creation. Notice how you too will have to become a new creation as well through the washing of water and reestablishment of Elohim's covenant with you. Right? So again, just drawing a parallel, seeing how this process worked with Noah in his days and how it works same way for us inside of us. So Acts chapter 2, verse 38. It says, then Kephor Peter said unto them, repent and be immersed, every one of you, in the name of Yahushua Mashiach for the remission of sins, and you shall receive the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh. For the promise is unto you, and to your children, and to all that are afar off, even as many as Yahuwah Eloheinu shall call. And with many other words did he testify and exhort, saying, save yourselves from this perverse nation. Then they that gladly received his word were immersed, and the same day there were added unto them about 3,000 souls. All right, so again, noticing how there's a flood or a washing of water, a purification by water that takes place on us, and that there's a receiving of something that's going to do of the ruach that's going to do something for us, as you was just talking about, is going to do something for us in that day of wrath, right? Mark chapter 1 verse 1, it says the beginning of the good news or the Basora of Yahushua HaMashiach, the son of Elohim, as it is written in the prophets, behold, I send my messenger before your face, which shall prepare your way before you. The voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare you the way of Yahuwah, make his path straight. Yahuwah and I did immerse in the wilderness and preach the immersion of repentance for the remission of sins. So now you're seeing it again, right? What this baptism or this immersion is about, right? It's so that you do what? Repent or turn and have remission of sin. And there went out unto him all the land of Yehuda, and they of Jerusalem or Jerusalem, and were all immersed of him in the river of the Jordan or Jordan, confessing their sins. And Yehukanah was clothed with camel's hair, and with the belt of a skin about his loins. And he did eat locusts and wild honey, and preached, saying, there comes one mightier than I after me, the latchet of whose shoes I am not worthy to stoop down and unloose. I indeed have immersed you with water, but he shall immerse you with the Ruach HaKodesh. So something to just keep in mind. All right, so we all told, right? All right, so from Adam to Noah, now we're gonna start seeing, we're gonna start touching back to the previous Torah portion and seeing how we're gonna start seeing some things get connected. All right, so Genesis 6:18. All right, so he says, but with you will I establish my covenant, and you shall come into the ark, you and your sons, and your woman and your sons' women with you. And of every living thing of all flesh, two of every sort shall you bring into the ark to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female, of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind, two of every sort shall come unto you to keep them alive. All right, so we're going to pay attention to verse 20 because we're going to see a parallel. All right, so Genesis chapter 2:15 says, and Yahuwah Elohim took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and to guard it. And Yahuwah Elohim commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat of it, for in the day that you eat thereof you shall surely die. And Yahuwah Elohim said, it is not told that the man should be alone. I will make a help meet for him. And out of the ground Yahuwah Elohim formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto the man to see what he would call them. And whatsoever the man called every living creature, that was the name thereof. All right. So in both cases, Elohim brings them the animals. Notice how the mantle of Adam is now upon Noah, and how he will have to function in his role with obedience if life is to continue upon the earth. So the reason why we bring that out is because notice that we're going to see that there's something that takes place in the garden from that point forward. When Adam is disobedient, what happens not just to mankind, but you're going to see a change that also occurs in everything. The whole order of everything gets disrupted. Same thing as what you're going to see with Noah is the flip and the reverse of it is that through Noah's obedience, all of the animals can be spared. So where was I at? So yeah, notice how the mantle of Adam is now upon Noah and how he will have to function in his role with obedience if life is to continue upon the earth. Could it be that this was the purpose of Adam in the garden? And could it be that this was that he was to lead creation to the tree of life in the garden? Just an open-ended question. Something to consider. So Genesis 6:21. It says, and take unto you of all food that is eaten, and you shall gather it to you, and it shall be food for you and for them. Speaking of the animals. Thus did Noah, according to all that Elohim commanded him, so did he. So notice how now, and obviously I'm figuratively speaking. I'm not saying that they are to that the tree in the garden specifically, you're not going to find that anywhere where you can read it that they were supposed to eat from the tree of life. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that you're going to see that there is a certain order of life that is in the garden prior to the fall of mankind. And then you're going to see outside of the garden, there's a whole different system of things that includes death, even for the animals. So notice how in the ark, the man is responsible for dictating what the animals were to eat through the instruction of Elohim. Whereas in the garden, you see a role reversal taking place, and the serpent dictated what was to be eaten to the man. This is how Noah is going to start to bring this rest to mankind, because he's going to start reversing and correcting some of the wrongs that his forefather Adam, where he messed up. You're going to start seeing that the father is doing the same thing in Noah and giving him the same responsibilities in his generation. All right, so Genesis chapter 1, verse 28, it says, and Elohim blessed them, and Elohim said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it. So that's the role and function of the man in the garden. And have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. And Elohim said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, and in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for food. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creeps upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for food. And it was so. And Elohim saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very told. In the evening and the morning were the sixth day. So again, just something to consider, that perhaps there is a function that Adam was supposed to be not just providing to himself in the garden, but through his dominion, everybody was gone. Everything was going to benefit. Then you also see that through his corruption, through his disobedience, everything in the earth suffered. Same thing what you see in the days of Noah, that through this corruption and through this violence of mankind, the whole earth became what? Corrupted. But you also going to see that through Noah, through the righteous man, all of the earth was spared. Okay, so let's see, where are we at? So Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahuwah Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, yeah, as Elohim said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, Elohim has said, you shall not eat of it, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die, for Elohim knows that in the day that you eat thereof, Then your eyes shall be open, and you shall be as Elohim, knowing good or knowing Tob and Ra, good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was told for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her man or her ish with her, and he did eat. So just something to keep in mind is just notice how life was not a part of the equation when it came to what motivated the man and the woman in the garden, but this was their purpose and duty in the earth. Compare that to Malachi 2:15. Because of this, death was introduced and has become a part of life for everything that lives from then on. Also, keep in mind that Adam called his Isha Kua, or the mother of all living, after this. All right, so moving on, just continuing to draw more connections. You're gonna start seeing how all these parallels between Adam and Noah, but you're gonna see where Adam got him wrong, Noah got it right. All right, so Genesis 3:19, it says, and in the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return unto the ground, for out of it you were taken, for dust you are, and unto dust shall you return. And Adam called his woman's name Kua, because she was the mother of all living. Unto Adam also, and to his woman did Yahuwah Elohim make coats of skin and clothe them. So another open-ended question is, could these coats of skin mean that a life was taken in place of mankind? And if this is the case, then this is the first case of something dying or death being a part of life due to the disobedience of mankind. So if the trees were food for the animals in the garden, was this also when some of the animals began to take on a predatory nature? Because pretty much outside the garden, we know that things are operating a certain kind of way, and it's not like it was in the garden, right? And if it don't make sense, it'll make sense a lot more later on when we get to later on in the lesson. We'll come back kind of to that point. But just again, we just saw that the vegetation was supposed to be food for both the man and the animals. Then on the ark, you see what? What was they eating on the ark? The plants, right? On the ark, they ate the plants. That's the only way that they was gonna survive through the flood. So not only did he said gather up the food, gather up all of the vegetation for what y'all eat for you yourself, but also gather it up for the animals, and this is what they're going to eat. So you're starting to see a reversal and a restoration during this particular point in time on the ark of how it was in the garden. And you see Noah having this dominion once again over all of the animals. They get brought to Noah just like they got brought to Adam. And there's something that Noah is responsible for to them to ensure life. Same thing as it was with Adam. And you're starting to see that where things got taken away and stripped down, you're getting a glimpse of how it can be once again in the day of Noah upon the ark. So yeah, if this is the case, is there something that the man is supposed to learn and understand about the order of things in the earth now versus how they were before he sinned and had dominion? And then is it possible that we are seeing a glimpse of what this dominion is supposed to look like in Noah? So Genesis 2:4 says, these are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created. In the day that Yahuwah Elohim made the earth and the heavens, and every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew, for Yahuwah Elohim had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. Keep that in mind. Because now, shifting in the days of Noah, we about to see this flood that's going to take place. But there's a specific role that the man has during this whole process, right? Genesis 7, verse 1. It says, And Yahuwah said to Noah, Come you and all your house into the ark, for you have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast you shall take to you by sevens, the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean by two, the male and his female. Of fowls also of the air by sevens, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of all the earth. For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. And Noah did according to all that Yahuwah commanded him. And we're going to keep seeing that that's a recurring theme, that every time Elohim commands Noah to do something, Noah does it. And this is why the restoration is coming. A removal of Elohim's order. So now we about to start seeing things get shook up. And again, just notice how this process of the flood, how it can occur even within you. So it says, And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, in the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were open. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. Now, mind you, that the ark was built with a what on the top floor? With a window, right? All right, I'm going to leave that there. It's just something to consider, perhaps, what this window is, what the purpose of this window is on the ark. Not just from a functional standpoint, but also spiritually, if there's something that we can get about what this window is doing. But anyways, notice how the earth is now being brought into a state similar to how it was before he created order. In this case, the separation between the waters above and below, as well as the separation between the dry land and the waters below, is now being disrupted. Also notice that this was after 7 days, perhaps a parallel to the 7 days wherein Elohim established his order in creation. All right, so now what we're seeing is what? All of the boundaries and all of the separation that he called Tov in creation, he pulling the plug. The separation between the waters above and the waters below that he called Tov, that order that he established, he pulled the plug. Now it's reverting back to the state of how things were prior to him establishing that order. Right? So Genesis 1:6, it says, And Elohim said, Let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And Elohim made the expanse and divided the waters which were under the expanse from the waters which were above the expanse, and it was so. And Elohim called the expanse Shamayim, and the evening and the morning were the second day. And Elohim said, Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together in one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And Elohim called the dry land earth, and the gathering of the waters he called seas. And Elohim saw that it was told. But now we seeing what? When the flood happens, you see that the fountains of the deep are broken up, the waters up from below, and the windows of the Shamayim were open. These waters is now, that divide that was dividing the two and keeping the two separate, are they coming back together? Then we know, obviously, when it rained, it flooded out the whole earth. The dry land then does what? disappears once again. So all of the order that he established in creation, you starting to see he reverting the whole, he's really truly starting the whole thing all over again. So yeah, 161. All praises. All praises. You told?
There was a wasn't there like a water or river that would water the land?
We read that in Bereshit chapter 2 about how there was a mist that came up and watered the earth, but there wasn't a man to till it. But there wasn't a man to till it.
It's not, I'm just thinking about early rain, latter rain. If it has anything to do, because it's like before this period, I'm just thinking about how we have to wait on Abihu for the rain to come. Otherwise, it won't come at all. I'm just wondering if it has anything to do with the order being, um, like the order being messed up. You see what I'm trying to say?
I think so.
But we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. What I will say is, it's definitely the pattern of how things operate today.
Yeah.
It's definitely the pattern of how things operate today, and maybe we towards the end, kind of like explore that a little bit because
It's like the rain was supposed no Abiyahu promised to take care of us, right? So there was always, there was going to be rain. But then I'm thinking now, remember it back in thinking Deuteronomy Devarim, where it talked about how like if you obey me, if you keep these
Oh, yeah.
commandments, if you do what you're supposed to do, I'm gonna give you the early rain and a lot of rain.
oh yeah,
Like he has to specify and say that, you know, if you disobey me, you're gonna be out here, it's gonna be you're gonna have some dry land,
Mhm.
and without water, water nourishing the land, and there's no crops, nothing grows from it. So I'm just thinking about how like, that it just made me think about like there's this the disobedience prevents the rain.
Mhm.
And so I'm just wondering if it had anything to do with what you're trying to say, what you're saying.
I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, like I said, we'll probably towards the end we'll kind of see how it is because what we leading up to is basically looking at the process of what he's doing in the days of Noah is making a new heavens and a new earth. Then we're gonna see how that's a precursor to a greater thing that is to come with a true new heavens and new earth. So that's kind of where we going with it. But yeah, all praises. So we're here, right? Okay, all praises. So Genesis 7:13 says, in the self same day entered Noach and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's woman, and the three women of his sons with them into the ark. They and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, and every bird of every sort. And they went in unto Noah into the ark, two and two of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. And they that went in male and female of all flesh, as Elohim had commanded him, and Yahuwah shut him in. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased and bore up the ark, and it was lifted above the earth. And the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. So again, we see a reversal of the order that in the separation that he established in creation that was told, and now we see all of that being reverted, and he about to restart this whole process over again through when we start seeing when things are drying up, and then you're gonna start seeing the vegetation is starting to come back up, and you're gonna see the whole process of creation starting again. But drawing an interesting parallel. Genesis chapter 1, starting at verse 1, it says, "In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the deep, and the Ruach of Elohim moved upon the face of the waters." So, are we seeing that maybe it could be some sort of connection between the Ruach of Elohim and the ark?
Yeah, yeah. Earlier about the protection. Like the ark was their protection, and the set apart rock is our protection. Oh, along with Yahusha, but
So,
but through
remember with
Yahusha.
yeah, remember with the ark itself, the ark is nothing if you don't do what? Get this quote unquote atonement, or this, you got to pitch it within and without. Then we also see that Mashiach is our what? He's our atonement. So just again, drawing the parallels, and you're gonna see how this whole process, how it works within you. So notice that the ark is now hovering upon above the waters. It's now lifted up, and it's going above the waters. The earth is now returning to this chaotic state. Once the flood comes, it lifts up the ark, and the ark is floating above the waters. And then notice how in creation, what? There was darkness on the earth and the face of the deep, and the Ruach did what? Hovered above the face of the waters. So, interesting parallel there. All right. And we're going to dig more into that in a couple more slides. So, Genesis 7:21. "And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl and of cattle and of beast, and of every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth, and every man, all in whose nostrils was the breath of life, of all that was in the dry land died, and every living substance that was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle and creeping things, and the fowl of the heavens were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days." And then just again asking that question, could there be a connection between the function of the ark and the function of the Ruach? All right, so taking a dive into that and looking into it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that as I thought about it, the connection between the ark and connection between, the Most High, like the ark was made for his righteousness or for that man, that's why he took, because the ark didn't come into existence until he told Noah, build it. So it just immediately made me think of that place in Isaiah where it says, mankind was not created in vain. He was created to be inhabited.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And also it makes me think of the situation that happened in the ark with Noah, with the birds. One bird left, one bird stayed. And so it just makes me think that ark, it was it's parallel that I'm drawing. It was made to house the spirit of Yah. Just like mankind, with the ark being as synonymous, like we've been drawing like you have been drawing parallels this whole time with what happened in the macro and what can happen and what it looks like in the micro also with us. That ark kind of being synonymous as well with ourselves, our personage, our bodies and whatnot. Like we were made to house the spirit of the Most High, and after learning the difference between clean and unclean, we're supposed to, at a certain point, operate in that. Same thing like with the spirits, or with the birds, I should say, that Noah used to send out, to kind of find out what was going on. One of the birds left. It was a wild, that the raven, the one that went to and fro trying to do his own thing, it left. But the dove came back and stayed. So those spirits that the righteousness, or the righteous spirit of the Most High, is what's supposed to inhabit us, being an ark, and also, the ark being housed or being made to be a covering for Noah and his family, because he was found righteous or upright in all his generations. I don't know. That's just the parallels I'm drawing with it.
All praises. All praises. Because, yeah, that's pretty much like basically what I'm trying to get at is just drawing the parallels of how this whole process, not only is it just existing in like the physical realm of Noah, but like how we should be able to draw all of those parallels on a micro level to us inside. Yeah, all praises. So, all right, so Ephesians 1:3. So it says, "Blessed be Yahuwah and the Father of our Adonai, Yahushua HaMashiach, who has blessed us with all spiritual blessings in heavenly places in Mashiach, according as he has chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be set apart and without blame before him in love, having predetermined us unto the adoption of children by Yahushua HaMashiach to himself, according to the total pleasure of his will, to the praise of the glory of his favor or grace, wherein he has made us accepted in the beloved, in whom we have redemption through his blood, the forgiveness of sins, according to the riches of his favor, wherein he has abounded toward us in all wisdom and prudence, having made known unto us the mystery of his will, according to his total pleasure, which he has purposed in himself, that in the stewardship of the fullness of times he might gather together in one all things in Mashiach, both which are in heaven and which are on the earth, even in him, in whom also we have obtained an inheritance, being predetermined according to the purpose of him who works all things after the counsel of his own will, that we should be to the praise of his esteem, who first trusted in Mashiach, in whom you also trusted, after that you heard the word of truth, the Basora of your salvation, in whom also after that you believed, you were sealed with the Ruach HaKodesh of promise, which is the earnest of our inheritance until the redemption of the purchased possession, unto the praise of his glory. And grieve not the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuwah, whereby you are sealed unto the day of redemption." And then I just had a question of, could it be that the Ruach causes you to be remembered in that day?
Yeah, because the
Oh,
set apart work is a set apart work of Ab Yahuwah. It's his. It belongs to him. So he identifies and knows what's his. You know what I mean? So yes, absolutely.
All praises.
kind of, if I could just add to that or with that, yeah, it's like identifying the characteristics of yourself and your children.
Mhm.
Hence, some will be told, "Depart from me, I never knew you." You know what I mean? Like You ain't gotten my, you're not operating in my ways. You haven't operated in my ways because for one, you haven't known me, and in tandem with that, I haven't known you. Like the way of the righteous, he knows. The cost of humility, he knows.
Ooh, and can I add to not only the, I mean, I guess it overall is the spirit of the Most High because it's that which works in us to will and to do good or do told. But I would say, just thinking on other examples, ultimately, yeah, it's our spirit. Maybe that's what does cause the Most High to remember us, because I'm thinking on different people who have done this and done, for example, Nehemiah. You know, there's a point after, at the end of that book where he's like, or not at the end, but when he's recounting all of these things that he's done, all of these things that he's done for the sake of the Most High. I've done this, I've done that. Please remember me.
Mm-hmm.
Please remember me. And he's not the only one. Dawid, he does things and please remember me, for my righteousness. Say, look at what I'm doing to try. You see how I'm suffering, Heavenly Father. You see this, that please remember me. And he turns his face towards those who exemplify that, who do that. And and it does continuously at times say that the Most High does remember those people, and his prayer was heard. And so is so happy, yeah.
All praises. 'Cause, yeah, we're gonna see that exact same thing ends up taking place with Noah. Like at the turning point during the flood, you're gonna see that exact thing takes place with Noah. So yeah, all praises. And then Genesis 6:3 it says, and Yahuwah said, my Ruach shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. So notice how Ruach is supposed to do something for us, but then also noticing, as we was talking about earlier, when we was talking about the not basically covering yourself from the rain, right? Like he rains on the just and the unjust, but you can put yourself in a state to where you making a covering, you covering yourself from being rained on, right? Same thing with his Ruach. Same thing with wisdom. Same thing with, okay, if you turn away from it, well, I tried, but you rejected it, and because of this, you got to eat the spoils of that. So, another open-ended question: what redemption was that referring to? And then just hold that thought as we continue, because he's talking about a redemption. We've been purchased, a purchased possession, and all of those things in Ephesians. But what was he talking about this quote unquote redemption? Because it's something that he's looking for that's coming, that we're gonna need to have some sort of redemption from, right? Our praises. So
No, the blood part. It's just making me think about Passover, Shemot, when they had to kill the lamb and put the lamb over their doorposts. In Wayikra or Leviticus 17:11 talks about, for the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it for you on the altar to make atonement for your souls, for it is the blood that makes atonement for by the life. So I just thought about it, just made me think about Passover when they were passed over, because of that blood, saw blood on the doorpost and passed over, the houses, so that, the firstborn would not die. I just thought it was interesting because that was, basically their like redemption, them being redeemed. You know what I mean? The firstborn inside that home, because of that blood, they survived, they were saved.
Ooh, sis, that's that pitch.
Yep,
all praises.
exactly.
Going back to what the definition was of what kafara or
Yep.
kafa,
Yep.
That's that pitch.
To make an atonement.
To make an atonement, to forgive, to be merciful. That's that
Huh.
pitch.
And that's deep
All
because
praises. Go ahead.
any earth, it's like the only place where we make the mistake of not fully recognizing Yahuwah, the honor, glory, and praise he deserves, and his order. So when the destroyer comes out, he's looking at the wrongs, and at that point, it's his job to enact the judgments for the transgression, but to recognize those who have acknowledged their wrongs and implemented Yahuwah's what he required at that time, which was the blood,
Mm-hmm.
not your own, but the specific blood of the lamb.
Mm-hmm.
Symbolic at that time, yes, but nonetheless, the requirement being met. That's deep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All praises. That's what I'm saying. Like the ark itself, you don't see if you don't put this tar and this pitch on it. I mean, good luck making it through the flood. It'll be messed up just like everything else.
That just goes back to those who do not believe in Yahusha. He's the redemption. You know, he's our redemption. And through his blood, we are
Luck making it through that
redeemed.
day.
Then how you how is Abiyahu going to even recognize who you are if you can't even, receive his son? You know what I mean? That redemption price, and then the redemption is not there. You know what I mean?
Huh.
Ooh, sis, that right there, it just, you hear things, you constantly hear things, but when sometimes it just hits a different kind of way. Like you said, how is he going to know who we are? How are we going to show ourselves as children of the Most High if we are never merciful?
Come on. Where's his characteristics?
He have every right, rhyme, and reason to start over and do over he could do it every day of the week if he wanted to.
Right.
But he chooses to look over offenses because he know we are sought as children. Because he knows we are a stiff-necked people. Because he knows, listen, I'm going to have to pass you under the rod for you to understand it. You're going to have to go through all of this. You're going to have to go through your dark time. You're going to understand a little bit. You're going to have to go through some stuff. But you're going to understand once you go through some things. And him knowing all, being the Atik Olam, being the Ancient of Days, being the all-knowing one, the all in all. In his wisdom, he knows this. And how merciful is he to overlook our offenses like that? And how's he going to know that we are his unless we are doing that same thing? Because it made me think on the scripture that you were talking about, you were talking about, we were just talking about the kafar, the pitch, the spirit, the blood. And it made me think of that scripture that says, I would have mercy and not sacrifice. Because essentially, when you look at it and when it is done well, the mercy is the sacrifice.
And it breeds life.
Mm-hmm.
Like it brings forth more life.
Mm-hmm. Literally. And I'm thinking about the situation that just happened with the thing outside. Mm-hmm. The mercy is the sacrifice. You could exact every piece of judgment and be right in doing so. No, you did this to me. You got to pay for that. You have to pay for that. But if it really ain't if you really can overlook that because it would do more damage to exact it, you wouldn't be doing that but adding insult to injury or injury on top of injury, whatever it is, why not show the mercy?
And then what's that person going to reproduce
from
the seeds that you're sowing?
Exactly.
So it's like, whose kingdom are you expanding at that point?
What they going to see about, not even, what they going to see about you, what they going to see about the Most High. That's who you claim you are a child of. How's he going to see that you're his child if you are never being merciful, if you are never overlooking the offense, if you are never, what's it say? If you are never placating or canceling the offense or appeasing, or you're never making the atonement. You're never, you know what I'm saying? Whatever that definition for kafar, covering your stuff, humbling thyself.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, yeah, that just hit me as you were speaking, sis, because like, yeah, how is he gonna know that we are his? Like we literally have to show him, no, I see what you do for me. I gotta act like I literally, no, I see this. I literally see this. This what you have done for me. Every piece of wrong that I ever did, you could have took me out. Like you literally could have exacted judgment on me and been right to do so. You should have exacted judgment on me by all right rhyme and reason. You should have. I should be out of here right now, but you did not. But you didn't.
And then gave you room, gave you space and time for it to click.
Yes.
Didn't try to force you to see when you can't, but just left room for the Ruach to work, knowing that when it does click, you're gonna realize, you know what, I gotta pay this forward. I have a debt.
Yep. Knowing that what's whispered in the basement gonna be shouted from the rooftops. No, I got to tell people about this. Like, yo.
Come on.
Like, he could have did me so wrong. But it would have been righteous for him to let, you know what I'm saying, let me fall flat on my head. Would have been
come on.
Exactly that part.
Because he knows a greater purpose of like y'all said, shout out from the rooftops. He knows if I'm gonna let this play out, because I already know what's gonna happen in the end. You not only gonna be for me, you're gonna tell your mama, they mama, everybody, like, Sir Bob Yahuwah, this is what he did for me. Like, exactly.
And mind you, that like that's what when we was looking at Ezekiel earlier, like he said at that point when he in the days of Ezekiel, he said, I looked for a man that would stand in the gap. Like I looked for a man who gonna stand in the gap so that I don't have to destroy this place. And I couldn't find one. Like think about how deep that is. Like literally, like just like what we were saying when we started it, like he really is the only glue holding this thing together. It's only his mercy and his compassion is holding this thing together. Like in the blink of an eye, all of the order that he implemented in the world can be taken away.
Which is why he set a day, which is why he has a day designated for it. He set a day. He's not a man that he shall lie. He already got a day set for that. Just exactly. Otherwise, nobody will be breathing. Like the whole world would be destroyed. Like there's nothing. Yeah, nobody can survive. Exactly.
If he doesn't remember our friend and that we are dust. So it will behoove us to do the same for others. Usually seeing the exact same thing. Because what do we hear about Shem, Ham, Yafeth, his wife, their wives? We don't hear nothing about their story. I'm not saying that they was wicked, but what I am saying is that for the sake of the one, many were saved.
Come on.
But through the sake of that one and him being righteous in his generation, the whole door was opened up for all of mankind, for all of us, for everything from all, not just mankind, but the animals of everything. From that point forward, all through this one man standing in the gap and being obedient, and let's keep it all the way real, not losing it. Like we talking about how long of a period? They say in some places over, yeah.
I calculated it was like 100 years or something, like before the flood even came. Like I could be wrong,
of him,
but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Like think about that.
I'm sure it was like 100 years.
Yeah, he preached basically repentance for 120 years.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yep.
Like think about that.
That's a long time.
Really think about that. This is the man that standing in the gap.
That's deep, because it still again shows Yahuwah's mercy and compassion, like, and his patience. I say all the time how patient he is, still to be able to see the evilness, just like now, see all the evilness and the wickedness on the earth, but like, no, it's okay. because Abihu already knows his power and his esteem, and his majesty. He doesn't have to. He doesn't. You know what I mean? That's deep, and that just makes you want to praise Abihu more for Yahusha. Like literally, without Yahusha, we wouldn't have a chance.
That part.
God.
I was telling the brother the other day, like, listen, I know I ain't worthy, but he showed me mercy anyhow.
Come on.
Anyhow.
Same.
But yeah, all praises. Like, yeah, all praises. So, Revelation. We actually we only got a few more slides left. We about to be OBO. So Revelation 7:1. So it says, and after these things, I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living Elohim, and he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our Adon in their foreheads. Then jumping down to Ezekiel 9, you're going to see the same parallel. He cried also in my ears with a loud voice, saying, cause them that have charge over the city to draw near, and every man with his destroying weapon in his hand. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lies toward the north, and every man a slaughter weapon in his hand. And one man among them was clothed with linen, with the writer's inkhorn by his side. And they went in and stood beside the brazen altar. And the glory or the esteem of the Elohai of Israel was gone up from the cherub, whereupon he was, to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. And Yahuwah said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And to the others he said in my hearing, go you after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have you pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house. So just like we was just saying, like whole process that Elohim follows. Desiring the compassion and the mercy over the sacrifice, wanting to spare. If he gets to this point, it's because you just flat out have hardened your heart, stiffened your neck, turned away, and have rebuked him and cursed him to his face, really. This is why he's starting with the ancient men at his sanctuary. These are the ones that know best.
That's why I be making a point. I be having loud signs like, when abominations be happening. I be trying to make it a point like, you hear my sigh? I'm sighing loud. All the abominations,
But yeah, all praises. Really, that's what it keeps coming back down to. Is he's looking for those, like as I said earlier, he's looking for those that look like him, and those that look like his adversary gonna get dealt with as an adversary. But those that look like him get treated as children.
Con, like you sigh out of discontentment. Like in one place it says, here we have no continuing city. That's how it should be for us in the midst of wickedness. You know what I mean? Like we shouldn't just be comfortable. Just like his ruach ain't gonna find no place of rest in the midst of wickedness.
Exactly. It's like that's why they push it. Side note, they push it so hard for you to be comfortable and normalize all the abominations, so that when you see it, you get desensitized from. You're like, oh, it's all right. No, hate when you who it hates, love what he loves.
And it should, it should grieve you. Like you should be grieved, knowing, especially knowing what the consequence is and what the penalty is for those that practice such abominations. And then on top of that, like knowing, especially for those that it has been a conscious choice to say, hey, I'm a spurn who is Elohim and what can he tell me? Like it's something that we should be grieved by, genuinely, deeply grieved by, and knowing the destruction that it brings. Like none of these things that are abominations have ever bore anything positive. They've only brought forth destruction and corruption in the earth. So yeah, all praises.
You know what it makes me think on, and I was just thinking about this, that whole signing situation is how I liken it. What I liken it to is when you, let's say, for example, and I'm pretty sure we might all have an experience with this, when we might be watching a video or something online on YouTube, whatever it is, and we see that they put up some gender pushing commercial. They try to slip it in, some agenda pushing, agenda pushing commercial or whatever, where they got some, big burly dude in a dress or whatever it is that it might, somebody talking some kind of whatever. And I know for me, my response sometimes is just, like that. This big sigh of, vexation, like Lot was. It was a vexation to my spirit because I know, like you were just saying, I know this ain't no good. I can see the mess. That's just what that scripture makes me think on sometimes. Like that sighing could come in different kinds of examples. Like some people sigh out of irritation, like really vexed, like real vexation. Some people sigh out of empathy or sympathy, like, oh my gosh, what are they doing? Some people, that's just what it makes me think of. Because a lot of times, my spirit be real vexed, and that's the manner of sighing that I do. I'm just like, oh.
You see, they got cross dressers reading to your kindergartens. In school. Like,
that's what I was gonna say. When children get involved, that right there. Oh my goodness. Woo.
Or better yet, and I'll say this, I don't know if anybody has seen this one of these last elections, but the whole get your booty to the polls situation. And I'm looking like, for real?
Come on, man.
Are you serious?
You have helped forward the affliction.
Right. Like I can't, like, and that's on multiple front. That's for the people, not only for the clearly the obviously wrong imagery and stuff like that, but then the support of that wrong imagery, like, just, I don't know, I'm trying not to go too far off on a side tangent or anything, but like our folks, we can support some of the dumbest stuff.
Like I put it in that track, self-destruct.
Yeah.
They look like you, of course it's gonna fly.
Sweet. When supposed to make me laugh through this? I was trying to be serious.
But yeah, we could support some of the craziest and most ignorant and self-destructive mannerisms and behaviors and schools of thought, like to our own detriment. Like you said, you are a backwards prostitute. You pay your lover.
Come on.
You pay them. Most prostitutes get money.
Right.
You don't get money. You give money for somebody to come lay with you.
That's horrible.
And it's terrible. That's horrible. Yeah, I'm getting my spirit getting grieved already. Just
You want this. You want it. Go pay somebody. You want it. Sick.
Whole head. Shit. All praises. Um, but there is hope.
Con.
All praises. So renew heavens and earth. So at least we got this to look forward to. So Isaiah 65:17, he says, "For behold, I create a renewed heavens and a renewed earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind. But be you glad and rejoice forever in that which I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. There shall be no more thence an infant of days, nor an old man that has not filled his days, for the child shall die 100 years old, but the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed. And they shall build houses and inhabit them, and shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. For as the days of a tree are the days of my people, and my elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble, for they are the seed of the blessed of Yahuwah, and their offspring with them. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. The wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like the bullock, and the dust shall be the serpent's meat. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, says Yahuwah. All praises. So notice how in this rebirth of the heavens and the earth, order will once again be established. And the things brought forth in the days of the flood will be reversed again to the order established in the garden. This will be done through the Son of Man. Notice here the reference to the serpent in the garden. So, reason why I'm kind of touching on this is like, notice that you get a glimpse of the peace of this new heavens and new earth. You get a glimpse of it on the ark, right? What are the animals eating on the ark? It's no death on the ark. Everything that is on the ark is guaranteed life until it make it to the other side of the flood, right? It wasn't nothing that was going to be dying of its own, I should say, on the ark. You wasn't going to see that, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't have been no purpose of it getting on the ark. So all of these things are living, and then you see they reverting back to what they was eating in the garden. They reverting back to that. That means that the predators ain't making prey. You starting to see this state of shalom on the ark, and you see Noah as being a man that has what? Dominion over. But then you notice that outside of that space, you see that this reverts back to, the normal order of how things are operating now. But in this day, you're gonna see that the lion is gonna eat straw. Everything is going back to the vegetation. But then ironically, you notice that it ain't no hope for the serpent. What he said is what he said. The serpent still get dust. So I thought that was funny when I saw it. Like, Father said, even in this day, he ain't forgot. So yeah, all praises.
Con, all praises.
So 2 Peter 3:1, it says, "This second book, beloved, I now write unto you, in both which I stir up your pure minds by way of remembrance, that you may be mindful of the words which were spoken before the set apart prophets, and the commandment of us, the apostles of Adonai and the Savior, knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walkers after their own lust, and saying, Where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of creation. For this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of Yahuwah the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. But the heavens and the earth, which are now, by the same word, are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of the wicked. Like literally, he's holding everything back. We getting birth pains, but he's literally holding what bit we have held together. That order is being held together by his compassion. This is why he says in one place, what? Seek him, seek Elohim, while he may be found. It said, but beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with Yahuwah as 1,000 years, and as 1,000 years as one day. Yahuwah is not slack concerning his promise, as some men count slackness, but is long suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. But the day of Yahuwah will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat, and the earth also, and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought you to be in all purity of conversation and in the fear of Yahuwah, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of Yahuwah, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Nevertheless, we, according to his promise, look for a reward, or look for a renewed heavens and a renewed earth, wherein dwells righteousness. Isaiah 11:1 says, and there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Yishai or Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots, and the Ruach Yahuwah shall rest upon him, and the Ruach of wisdom, and the spirit of understanding, the spirit of counsel, and the spirit of might, and the spirit of knowledge, and the spirit of fear of Yahuwah, and shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of Yahuwah. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears, but with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. And righteousness shall be the belt of his loins, and faithfulness the belt of his reins. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid. Again, returning back to the state as how things were in the garden. A full restoration of earth.
I think it's interesting how you brought out violence earlier, and it's like that's what came after the fall in the garden, or it could have been, what popped it off, what set it off. But that's what's being removed is the violence.
Mm-hmm. All praises. Khan. Khan. Yep.
Lying, not being able to exactly.
Khan. Yep. Is be a full state of shalom. Like
Con.
is all taking place because of this quote unquote violence or this violation of what he said was told. Yeah, they translate that word Hamas as both violation, violence. That's what I mean. Yeah. Huh.
Praises. It's like that's what his law is against. That's interesting. It's interesting how that goes. I'm gonna be quiet.
Huh. But yeah, all praises. Verse 6. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf with the young lion, and the fatling together, and the little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. And the sucking child shall play on the hole of the asp, which is a snake, and the weaned child shall put his hand on a cockatrice's den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahuwah as the waters cover the sea. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse or Yishai, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the other nations seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that Adonai shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Ashur and from Mitzrayim and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam and from Shinar and from Kamah and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and shall gather together the dispersed of Yehuda from the four corners of the earth.
Just have so you know how like people who like documentaries, nature, they observe the animals. You're saying that the observance of what they get from the animals is not really how they should be? Because I'm just thinking about like here, the just for example, of course, when anyone hears a lion, you just automatically think about, I don't want to say vicious, but like he the king, he the king. He going when the lioness is gonna attack and give her prey for everyone else, she will. And then the king comes and eats first, and stuff like that. And so it's just interesting that do we, like as people, do we really truly understand how much of out of order the earth is to begin with?
Well, what I'll say is this. What I'll say is, if you keep in mind, there was a nature of things in the garden. And then notice when he kicked the man out of the garden, what did he tell him? Now go out there and till that. Because now you're going to have to learn about how things are operating out there outside of this order. This is a whole nother thing. So it's still something that we are to learn, that we can learn. Just like he said, go to the ant, oh, you sluggard. There's even in the nature of how things are now that we are supposed to learn, we can learn through this order of this creation. However, what I will also say is that I don't believe that this was their original estate, just like we're not in our original estate. And there are things that we have to learn about ourselves now that in our original estate it wasn't even a thing. But now, you need to learn as much as you possibly can about what you need to be learning about his ways, and get it how you can get it. Analyze observe his creation, and understand the order that he has set outside of the garden for us now, that it's a whole nother plan for our redemption. But once the redemption comes, then no, that's not a thing. We're not looking at it.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how what's the thrive, like how the animals
state?
Yeah, and then like what, like I don't want to say is there the ruck in them, because I don't know if that's the case or not, like a spirits or whatever case may be, you know what I mean? But it's like, what is making the animals do out of the ordinary stuff that they're not supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like it just makes you understand like how much like for instance, like you were telling that situation when the dog was howling, now he knew something was coming before it occurred. It's like, what connection do the animals have with the earth, and how corrupted and how much evil and all that's on it? Like, what has the corruption of the state of it? Like, how much do they really understand and know about it? Like, what's
like you seeing these are the consequences of mankind's dominion, and his original dominion that he was supposed to have in the earth. That system is, everything is disrupted. So now they have nothing they can only lean on, just like how we do, right? Like we lean on what? Our own understanding, we lean on our own instincts, we lean on, and a lot of times when you're talking about the flesh and something that is perishing, you don't do things that's contrary to how the Father's original order was that he established mankind to be. Same thing with the animals and the beasts. Like once we fell, everything fell out of whack. So now, just like how I said in the days of Noah, like the violence in the earth, like everything ends up, it's a trickle down effect. Everything ends up being corrupted through the transgressions of the men in that day. Like it's the same thing with them. Like, yeah, if there was a different, I believe, kind of dominion and order that was going on and existing within the boundaries of the garden that was not happening. It's like outside of it, every man fend for himself. So you're gonna have the strong, just like now, like even with human beings, it's the same way. Like, let us rule by our might, rule by our strength. The strong survive and the weak perish. Like, same thing with them. Because everything is disrupting and out of whack. But in that day, it's gonna be a shalom. It won't be any purpose for that. You know what I mean? Like that won't even be allowed in his mount. All praises.
If I could, I don't really have an answer, but I could just submit some things that I have just recently found out in my adulthood that I never used to know. And I think, and just to me, it kind of speaks to, once again, the nature of that fall, like what you were talking about. And maybe, I don't know, to me, it suggests that to an extent, yeah, these animals know. Like they absolutely, to an extent, have a clue as to what exactly happened. For example, the information I've just recently come across is that not necessarily about lions, but it is pertaining to dolphins. Dolphins actually kill for fun. And they have been observed, just like, we kind of get the SeaWorld idea of dolphins and, oh, they're fun, playful animals and, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of been observed that dolphins will play with live creatures, just like they play with the ball at SeaWorld, and they won't even eat them afterwards. And a similar thing about killer whales. It has been observed that an orca will, because orcas are really, really super predatory and they are, meat eaters, they will actually eat sharks. If the shark is small enough and if they can, knock it out, an orca will eat a shark. Orcas have been known to kill sharks and not even have anything to do with the body afterwards. Like they'll might have taken a bite out of the shark, if that, or they will put just, lacerations on it, but they will ram and torpedo a shark until it dies. And they will continue to headbutt and torpedo the shark until it dies. For what? Nobody knows why, because it's not like we can ask the orca, hey, what's your purpose? Did he talk something, did he talk crazy to you? Was he talking about your mama? No, like we can't find that stuff out. But so for all intents and purposes, from our perspective, it literally seems like they're doing that kind of thing, both the dolphins and the orcas, just for the enjoyment of it. So when mankind fell and allowed death into the world, that predatorial nature that, like I was saying, the survival of the fittest, that, who's stronger. We're going to rule by that. We're going to bully until, you get down or lay down. Like that seems to be reflected in more than just people. I've also seen some things that I wished I could unsee between walruses and penguins. This is very terrible.
That's remarkable right there. That's
I
Yeah.
haven't seen it. That stuff right. That woo.
Say less. Like, I
Man.
know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. I wished I did not see that. Like I didn't even know that was a thing. Like how do you, so I'm like, And then I think they said they will seek them out. Like that's not just a one-off kind of thing. That they said that happens.
Huh.
Like, are you serious right now? Like, so yeah, I believe they absolutely know and knew, what took place. Like, oh, we know what's up.
Huh. And like,
And
oh, go
oh,
ahead.
well, I was gonna say too, some other things that I have seen, more on the light side, but lighthearted side, but also just kind of, I don't know if it gives an indication of anything like that, but I've seen videos where people have pets, a dog specifically, and the dog will see the human behaving in a certain manner and copy that behavior. So, for example, the dog, there will be absolutely nothing wrong with the dog, but one instance that I was witness that I saw a video of is the owner of the dog had to be on crutches. Their leg, was broken, didn't work. They couldn't walk on it, so they were hopping on one leg. The dog proceeded to, after they noticed that this was how their owner was behaving, the dog proceeded to walk around on 3 legs. So I don't know if that has something to do, like, I don't know the purpose behind it, like if they just, were copying because they thought that's what they were supposed to do or what. But if it's any indication of anything, I would think also like they're taking cute, like the fall, they understand the fall, or at least have the capacity to understand the fall. And then even if they didn't understand the fall, like once they start seeing predatory nature, either coming towards them or or being victim of predatory nature, like that whole mentality, it could have something to do with it. Like, oh no, this one is going to try to eat me. I have to do something about that. So I don't know. I can't say for sure. I'm just depositing or submitting some things that I have seen that would suggest, yeah, they probably know what's up.
Because like that's kind of like what I was going to touch on is just like the domestication of wild animals. So like a dog, things like that. There are certain animals that you can tame them, and how you tame them is you tame them by doing what? Caring for them. You provide, human beings care for these animals, thereby they don't rely on that natural instinct or nature. Like you can take a dog, feed a dog, tame a dog, and the dog is going to hunt less and come to you for food more, as long as you give it. As long as you provide that care for them, then they will typically start to lean towards that because that's the easier route. You know what I mean? Whereas without that, out in the wild, it's like, hey, it's dog eat dog. Nobody else gonna take care of us. So hey, this is the way we gonna get down. I'm gonna use what I got to my advantage. And I got my might, I got my strength, I got my, and sorry it gotta be you, but it ain't about to be me. Because who, if I don't take care of myself, who gonna take care of me? Like, and that's the order of how it goes in their kingdom. Whereas, like, even tigers, and like, how do people domesticate tigers and they get them to like be on the stage and do all of this stuff? Like, they feed them and they take care of them. And so then now this tiger, this you can be around that tiger, whereas out in the wild you can't be around that one because you a meal. But now this one is looking at you a little bit different because you providing the meal for him, and in a way he don't have to. So it's just that dominion. Like now he's allowing you to express this dominion over him, and he'll do tricks for you. He'll do all of this stuff for you, because you're taking care of him, expressing that dominion over him, and that's that dominion that man was supposed to have with the animals. But when you remove that, now it's like, hey, you better get out my way, or else you about to be a free meal because everybody got to eat, and you stuck with a new set of laws, I guess, if you will, a law, a law of lawlessness, for lack of better term. Same thing with humans, like, you know. But yeah, definitely. And then, like you said, it seems like the more that the days are, the more that the corruption is growing in the earth. Like we starting to increasingly see more disturbances and more uh like more deviations from like even the animal's natural behavior. Like that walrus thing, I don't think that's something that they've been. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think that's something that they've been observing like forever. I don't know, but I know I don't watch a lot of walrus things that I hadn't started seeing that until like in the recent years. I don't know that this is something that they've all been doing, or if it's something that like that has been picking up lately. You know what I mean? Like even the beachings and things like that, like you starting to see more of that kind of stuff, and like animals doing more crazy things that they haven't necessarily been doing before. They like starting to pick up and adapt and do new things that they wasn't doing before as the more corrupted the world get. So I don't know, that's just my thing. Like seems like you're starting to notice even more deviation even in the wildlife. You know, the more corrupt we get, it seems like the more off the path they get as well. But I don't know.
Deep.
Did we read all of this? No, we did. All praises. Yeah, we got this slide and one more. And huh? So Isaiah 55, starting at verse 1, it says, "O everyone that thirsts, come you to the waters, and he that has no money, come ye, buy and eat. Yeah, come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. Wherefore do you spend money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which satisfies not? Hearken diligently unto me, and eat you that which is told, and let your soul delight itself in fatness. Incline your ear, and come unto me, hear, and your soul shall live. And I will cut an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. Behold, I have given him for a witness to all the people, a leader and a commander to the people. Behold, you shall call a nation that you know not, and nations that knew not shall run unto you because of Yahuwah Eloheka, and for the Holy One or set apart one of Israel, for he has glorified you. Seek you Yahuwah while he may be found. Call you upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him return unto El Yahuwah, and he will have mercy upon him, and to our Elohim, for he will abundantly pardon. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, says Yahuwah. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. For as the rain comes down and the snow from heaven and returns not thither, but waters the earth and makes it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goes forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereunto I sent it. For you shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace. The mountains and the hills shall break forth before you into singing, and all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. Instead of the thorn shall come up the fir tree. Now, mind you, the thorn was part of the curse in the garden. And instead of the briar shall come up the myrtle tree. And it shall be to Yahuwah for a name, for an everlasting sign that shall not be cut off. And then kind of the pivot point, if you will, the anchor to the story with Noah is Genesis 8:1. And Elohim remembered Noah and every living thing and all cattle that was with him in the ark. And Elohim made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters assuaged. The fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained. and the waters returned from off the earth continually. And after the end of 150 days, the waters were abated, and the ark rested in the seventh month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat. And the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first day of the month, were the tops of the mountains seen. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. And then Isaiah 56:1-2. Thus says Yahuwah, guard you judgment and do justice, for my salvation is near to come, and my righteousness to be revealed. Blessed is the man that does this, and the son of Adam that lays hold on it, that guards the Shabbat from polluting it, and guards his hand from doing any evil. So yeah, with that being said, that's a total place to stop. And yeah, pick up from there next time.
That remember part, we want Abihud to remember us, like we were saying throughout the lesson, we gotta be set apart as he is set apart. He remembers what is his.
The way that is done is by forsaking our ways and adhering to his, putting off the old man and walking in newness of life as new creation, so that we can be worthy of the earth as a new creation. Because he's not gonna put old wine in a new wineskin. Like, and the same thing goes for, like, he's not gonna put a bunch of old creations in his new creation when he restores it. The old order of things, like as you notice, like everything that is in his set apart hill, in his set apart mountain, like it's operating in a renewed way. It's not operating according to the old ways. Like that's why he said we won't even remember that. Like it won't even be brought up anymore. So yeah, all praises.
Come on, all praises. All praises.
So yeah, I'm all told. I'm all wrapped up, y'all. Unless y'all got something. I'm told me old.
All praises. Another exceptional lesson. Definitely appreciate you. I appreciate you all. So down.
All praises to the Most High. That was another really told parasha, or what's it called, a Torah portion. We thank you very much for bringing that out, Ak. We definitely appreciate that. That was very informative, very, just fulfilling. That's some spiritual meat right there. Absolutely some spiritual meat. All right. And so what we're going to do now, since you said you are wrapped up, we're going to bid everybody shalom. If that's it, because I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
Praise to Yahuwah.
No, all praises. Well, we thank you all for pulling that out, bringing that out for us, and